Hello, Leveling Up Nation. It is your host, Brigham Blackham, your success story strategist. So excited to have my new friend, Rob Ratliff from marketingai.com. He's the founder of marketingai.com. And one of the things we're going to be talking about is how to grow, how to G.R.O.W, this framework and the importance of your growth. And we've got some really great content here for you today. We're going to have a great conversation. Rob, tell us a little bit about your background. Why do people need to tune in and let us know, like, what is the thing that you're like, man, if you knew this about me, this is why you need to listen to me. Give us that.
Right. Yeah. All right. So my name's Rob Ratliff. I own the business Marketing AI. I have the website marketingai.com, which was like a godsend. Now, understand, when I first got this, it was supposed to stand for all inclusive, but that was 14 years ago. Now we have this whole AI in marketing, which is changing everything. And I've been in business working with people for the last 30 years. I've done seminars around the country, sold things at the back table. I've just noticed these rules that these businesses follow to grow from startups to millions. And so this framework is going to be talking about that and what kinds of things you need to do as a business to go from startup to making millions.
I love it. Now, you've written this into a book as well, if I understand it right. It's not just you only get it here on this podcast. You're going to introduce us to it, and then you've got some ideas that you can go and even dive deeper into this. Is that correct?
Yes. The book doesn't say grow. It says critical point marketing. And you can find that on Amazon. I've just redone it, interestingly enough, using some AI to help rewrite some things and make them a little bit more clear, but also I have updated it with a lot of AI strategies to use in your business to automate things, make things easier for you, save you time, reach more people, which is really what Grow is all about. We'll talk about that.
I love it. Well, let's dive straight into it. What is the G as far as grow? Guys, it's an acronym. So, G.R.O.W. We're going to start with the G. AUG, tell me what that is.
AUG, well, I'll tell you what, it's not going to surprise you. The G in the GROW framework stands for gain visibility or gain more visibility. If you already have some visibility out there, whether it's podcasts like this or social media marketing or Google Ads, you have YouTube, LinkedIn. I mean, look at all of these places that you could be attracting people to your business. And if you're not outdoing your competition, then you are losing the battle. And here's what's interesting. I had this epiphany years ago when we were talking about who are your competitors. And I was thinking more along the lines of like Christmas time, for example, right? So I've got this business and I sell toy cars, like remote controlled, gas powered, super fast, awesome cars. Okay. And I want my people to see this, my customers to buy these for their kids or for them if they love that kind of stuff. But who are my competitors? And I started thinking, okay, you got Hobby Lobby, you've got these RC stores, you've got that. And it like hit me, wait a minute, this is Christmas. They're trying to decide, do they want a car? Do they want to buy a slide for their kids, like a backdoor swing? Do they want to buy? My competitors, everybody.
All of those guys, yeah.
Right? People only have so much money they're going to spend, especially in their business. So not only am I having to outshine my competitors, I'm really trying to outshine everybody in the business world so that when people look at all the different things that they have choices to spend their money on, they go, I need to spend it with Rob because he's going to get me the maximum results or the return that I'm looking for. Now that's with marketing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Now, some things, plumbers, if your toilet goes out, that, you only have a few competitors, but it's not like they go, well, instead of fixing the toilet, I'm going to go buy a car, right? I understand that.
And hopefully not. That'd be a crappy situation to do that.
Right?
Man.
It would be. But for a lot of it, and I see what you did there, but for a lot of businesses, outshining the competition means basically being the loudest voice that they see in all kinds of different departments, venues, genres, and that kind of thing. So the G, gain visibility. We've got to get you out there promoting yourself in all these different places so people know who you are. I think Grant Cardone said it. He had something along the lines of, if they don't know you, they can't flow you. Now, I think that sounds ridiculous. I don't know what that means, but I think what he's saying is, if they don't know about you, they can't do business with you. So I would change that a little bit, but I'm not Grant Cardone. So, he can use that. I think it's awesome. But that's
That's
the
great.
idea.
As far as what I understand, as far as this, when you are saying gain visibility, it's not just online. This is also in your physical location as well. Being able to make sure your sign's clear, making sure that people know that you're in business. When they are looking like a phone directory, that they can actually find you. You have SEO, so that that search engine optimization, when they look for what those services are in that area that you actually pop up and you are seen.
Right.
So what are some of the ways that people gain the most visibility, in your opinion, Rob?
So the most visibility you're going to get are when you're doing these broad kinds of strokes in marketing. That can be radio, that could be YouTube, that can be, you could have a video in a movie theater, that kind of thing. But those are also very broad strokes. You're not necessarily targeting the right person at the right time in the right place. And as I've redone this book, that's really kind of more what this has come down to, is targeting the right people at the right time in the right place. Now, with the forthcoming of AI, Facebook, TikTok, and we kind of talked about this a little bit on the podcast that we did, but it seems like your phone is listening to the conversations you have, because as soon as you mention something or another, you start seeing ads about that. Just happened again to my wife yesterday. I can't remember what it was, but we were talking about, she was talking on the phone to me about something, got off the phone, and an hour later sees an ad about it. It's like crazy. But that's more about targeting the right person at the right time in the right place. So if you want to gain a lot of visibility, definitely YouTube, radio, TV, those kind of things are great once you get the budget for that. And those can actually be really good for, again, when you have the budget, after you've done the niche marketing, just so that everybody knows your name. That can be huge. But as far as some of the more niche-y kinds of things, I love the social media marketing aspect, because you can drill down to interests, income levels, age groups. You're looking at male, female, men, women. It's all there. In fact, years ago, when I was kind of when I started studying this, one of the authors I was reading was talking about Plenty of Fish, which was this dating site, right? And if you wanted to, and think about this, if you wanted to target specific people on that app, and it doesn't have to be about dating, you could narrow it down to income level, job type. Here's the fun part: eye color, height, interest. You know what I mean? Because think about it, like all that stuff they're putting in this app, so that app has access to all of that information. Now, these companies have that information, and they're not necessarily going to divulge that information. But even Facebook has these, face readers. It knows who you are. My phone, same thing. I can look up my name. It'll show me all the photos of me, or my son's name will show all because it's got this facial recognition. So yes, it can be kind of scary when we're looking at this niche marketing, but the way to gain the best visibility is to target those interests, behaviors, demographics, psychographics, and the right age groups for your particular product, as well as write the ad in a way that Facebook or YouTube or whoever understands what the ad is about. So when people are either looking for it or talking about it on the phone or wherever, they can start showing that ad. So that's a great way to gain visibility to the right people at the right time at the right place. Things like YouTube, social, and then like you said, Google. Obviously, when people are looking for you, you want to be there as well.
Yeah, I think that's very broad in some respects, but as you start to say, this is who I serve and this is who I serve, you start to cut out other elements and you get more clear on who your customer avatar is. And I've heard this as a short-term rental host. I've heard this as a podcast, all these different elements of business. if you really identify who you serve, why you serve them, and how you can help them go from where they are, whether it's Suckville or not doing great, to awesome town. I like that expression, Suckville to awesome town.
Yeah.
You're selling the bridge. And
Yeah.
if people don't want to go on the bridge, they're probably not your ideal customer. But the
Exactly.
people that do, they'll be like, oh, he's talking directly to me. He knows exactly what my problem is. The problem has been articulated very clearly. Now I know in multiple ways that this is where I am and that's where I want to go. So
Right.
there's so
yeah.
Visibility, it sounds like that's extremely key. I totally agree with that. When you get to the next phase, what is R? Let's go where that is. What is the R in grow?
So R is you've invested all this money targeting the right people, getting your ads out in front of them. Maybe they contact you. They're in your CRM, customer retention management system. Maybe they've visited your website, but they haven't contacted you yet.
Mm-hmm.
So the R stands for re-engage your audience.
Mm.
That can include two things. One, retargeting ads. So once someone visits your website, they say they see your ads again. So those ads are a lot less expensive per click because people have already engaged with you. So it's very limited. You're not competing with a whole bunch of different people. When I go on Google and I want like a pay-per-click campaign, it could cost me $2, $3 per click, $5, $10 per click. In fact, years ago, I just did this research. I thought, let me put in auto insurance, New York City, right? To see what it was per click, because Google would tell you about what you can expect to spend per click. It was $100 per click. That was just to get people to your website. Whether they bought or not was not guaranteed. So it's crazy. So if you're investing this kind of money where you're spending $2, $3, $4 per click to get people to your website, you can set up a retargeting ad, which is just an image ad that shows up. And you guys have seen this where you'll go to Amazon, you'll look up a book or a pair of shoes or something like that. And then you start seeing that book and shoes everywhere, all over the web. Those are retargeting ads. And instead of $2 or $3 a click, they're like 30, 40 cents a click, but it keeps you top of mind. So when we look at the customer journey, let's say, and I talk about it in the book, we talk about carpet cleaning as an example. We have a man or woman look at the carpet, they see this red stain, they think, oh no, I gotta get this red stain off my carpet. That's terrible. They go to Google, how to get rid of stains on your carpet. They see your website, which is a carpet cleaning company, but here's what's interesting about this. There's a page on there that talks about how to remove red stains. Okay. So they go, great. They click it. They go to your blog. They're not there right now to purchase carpet cleaning. They're just there to learn how to get rid of that red stain, right? So they read it. They say, okay, let me try that. They get their solutions and whatever is said that, they should use. Don't use this, use that kind of thing. Come back. They clean it up. Okay, red's gone. But now I've got this really clean spot and everything else is dirty. I can see this is not good. I should probably get on that. Phone rings. They head out the door. They come back. Maybe the next day they go online. They're doing social media. Up pops this retargeting ad, such and such carpet cleaning. Now, they didn't even come to you for carpet cleaning the first time. But now you're popping up because they did go to your website to learn how to get rid of this little stain. And they think, oh, yeah, I did need to do that. They can, click the button, go to your site, sign up, get the carpet cleaning, come out. But it took them a minute. It wasn't just like immediate. But that retargeting ad, those kinds of things can play a big role. And maybe they're not ready right at this moment. But when you retarget them the right way, you can get them, keep your products and services top of mind. And then, of course, the re-engagement can also include things like newsletters that go out, emails that go out, text messages that go out, just to let people know, hey, I'm still here. Did you have any questions? I saw that you clicked on my ad. you were looking at how to get rid of a red carpet stain. Would you like help clean the rest of your carpet? I mean, that kind of stuff can be used, especially if they leave like name and phone number, things like that. So a lot of that stuff can be automated too. So re-engaging, retargeting, newsletters, calling them up on the phone, going by their place of business, whatever you have to do to re-engage them, bring them back in. Don't let them forget about you because you already spent the money to start this journey. Let's re-engage with them, keep yourself top of mind. And of course, let them know you really want their business.
I think that's beautiful, because whenever you start that relationship, if you don't stay with it, they will forget.
Absolutely.
Everybody does. Everyone forgets. Even businesses that did really well for you, like, man, I really enjoyed that service. If it's been 3 or 4 years and you have never heard from them, you haven't gotten another text message, there's a really good chance that next time they need that service, if they couldn't remember your name, they're just going to go to whoever's easiest.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
When you're retargeting, it sounds like automation is really key for that, because very rarely do we as business owners know when to call somebody unless it's systemized. And we have an opportunity to say, well, I can set up reminders like in a drip campaign or in a newsletter. I think that's a great way. I have a newsletter as well, guys. If you want to get into my newsletter, remember, this is extremely valuable stuff. Every single month, I've got a handful of things I give, but I give one of my social media strategies. I've got a book that's called Leveling Up Your Social Media, and I don't have it anywhere else except for my newsletter. So the only way you can get it is by opting into that. But that's how I keep in contact with my people. So for you, Rob, what is a concrete example of how you've been able to retarget or re-engage some of your customers that maybe weren't quite ready, able, and willing to purchase at that moment that you met them, but over time you built that relationship?
Well, a lot of the customers I have come from that. So I own a marketing agency. I do marketing, all these things that I'm talking about, I do for other businesses to help them grow. So not only am I using it for my customers or my clients, but also to get my own customers. You can go to the website, you can download a free PDF, and then they get on a newsletter. I've had people just reach out and say, hey, I talked to you a while ago, or I signed up for your newsletter a few weeks ago, and I just wanted to talk to you about marketing. I had a couple questions. Great. Here's a link, schedule a time. Let's talk about it. Right. So you talk about it. Some of them become clients. Some of them I just coach, and they just jump on a phone call with me every week, and we go over next steps. What is your site needing? What are your ads needing? Where are you? That kind of stuff. So that has been huge. Now, another retargeting campaign would be for clients. For example, we have a couple of pest control companies. And one of them in particular I've been with for a few years now. They started with just a few hundred clients. Now they're over 4,000 clients in their pest control clients in their area. And it's a very simple process of social ads, paid ads, SEO, and retargeting. And when you turn that retargeting on, we see those that call volume and those bookings just skyrocket every time. It's so huge, and people aren't doing it.
And that's one of the biggest assets that you have in any business, is that email list, that contact information of all of your people. So being able to reconnect with them and give them that value over and over again, that's how you turn a customer to a client. Yeah. But if you only have them purchase once, then there's not really a long-term relationship, and it's just transactional. And I think the biggest, go ahead.
No, you're absolutely right. In fact, Russell Brunson talks about this. He says, if you're selling a product one time, you don't have a business. You have a, what do you call it? A promotion, right? So exactly what you're saying. If you don't have a way to retarget, have them come back in. A restaurant in town can be the best restaurant there is, but if they only come one time, it's not a business. You got to keep them coming back. Actually, that's kind of funny that let me tell you something that happened today.
Okay.
So I'm working, I have this client, they have a restaurant called the Elements Restaurant here in town. And every Thursday they have brisket. And
Ooh.
mind you, it is the best brisket Logan, Utah has to offer. Now I put Logan, Utah because I know you're in Grand Junction. So listeners, it's way over here. It's quite a drive, but boy, is it good. So I just ran a promotion where we boosted some posts out on social media.
Mhm.
And as you know, if you're not boosting your posts, it doesn't really go anywhere. Because, I mean, the way the Facebook algorithm works, and you can chime in here because I know you know exactly what I'm talking about, is yes, they might be following you, but if your posts aren't engaging and people aren't talking about it, the Facebook algorithm says, well, this is an interesting post. Let's not take up somebody's feed with this one. So what the boosting does, number one, you want to have really engaging content. That's for darn sure. Part of your gaining more visibility, have good engaging content, which again, in your book, so I'm sure you talk about those things. People need to read that book, right? Like,
Yeah.
it has to be engaging. You need people to be commenting and conversing and talking about it, because that's when Google or Facebook says, this is interesting stuff. Let's get it on people's feeds, right? So I ran this boost, posted it out just for 1 week, and they do brisket every Thursday. They haven't been doing that. So I said, let's start doing that. They started serving lunch at 11:30. By 2 o'clock, they were out of brisket.
Nice.
So they're like, thanks, Rob. Not thanks, Rob. So now they have to tell every other customer coming in from now through dinner time, sorry, we had a brisket like 6 hours ago. So it can work. Social media can be so huge if people do it the right way. So get your book, read your newsletter. It's so important, but you have to do it the right way. But it was all about targeting the right people, re-engaging them, doing the retargeting ads. So it's like, yeah, you saw me today, but we're going to do it so you see me again tomorrow, especially if you come to the website to learn more about it. So
that's huge. I had a guy named George Bryant on my podcast 2 different times, but this last week I was around him. We were in Seattle doing a great event, and he brought up that almost every problem in business comes down to a relationship issue, not like a physical mechanical issue. And I was like, well, what do you mean by that? He said, anytime your email didn't go out and you create a little bit of doubt for someone, like, oh, are they actually going to send me that? Are they actually going to do this? Are they going to deliver on what I said? That's a relationship issue. And as you fix your relationship, you create more and more data points saying, oh, look, I do what I say when I say I'm going to do it. And you do it over and over and over and over again. Eventually, people build a know, like, and trust factor with you. And it comes down to that relationship. That's what this re-engagement means to me when I hear it. It's just, hey, we're friends. I want to keep connected. I want to make sure that you know what's going on in my life, and I want to know what's going on in yours. And let's keep this going. So that was what popped into my head. Any thoughts on that before we move on to the O?
Well, they say it takes 7 touches sometimes before they'll even consider doing business with you. So exactly what you're saying. They've got to see you over and over and over, at least 7 times before they even remember you. The other thing I'll mention is that people won't necessarily remember where they saw your ad. I think they ran a promotion. It was some marketing company was doing this as a promotion to see what would happen. But here's the gist of it. They wanted to have this big get together downtown, come get hot dogs, burgers, whatever on this date, this time. Come to the front table, get your free ticket, and then come back and we'll get you fed, right? And they put it on, I think it was the radio, and just told people that it was on the radio to come to this thing. So as people came in and they went to get the ticket, the question that they asked them at the front, which is why they were required to give a ticket, was, how did you hear about us? And they were getting, radio, newspaper, I saw it online. Now, they only did it on radio. But people don't remember. All they know is, so the more touches you get, the more times you get in front of them, they may not remember necessarily where they saw you. They just like you because when they see you go, oh yeah, I know that guy. He's cool. Or this is a good company or whatever.
I love that. And it comes down to, are you top of mind as far as the things that you're saying? Is it adding value to their life? And if it does, and they hear it long enough, when that void in their calendar comes, they're like, oh, they're doing an event that I can make that happen. You're like, I'm gonna go get a free hot dog and hear about marketing or whatever.
Yep.
So
right, whatever. Yeah. So gotta keep that engagement going.
Let's go on to this next section, the O. So what does O stand for? And let's dive in there.
So O stands for optimizing conversions. So the way I look at that is I say, we start with the ad. If people aren't clicking on your ad, it's not a very good ad.
Yeah, that's a bad ad.
Right? Like, especially if it's a social media ad, they can click learn more button or click to call or whatever. Or it's a Google ad and here's your headline and here's your subtext and people aren't clicking. Well, then that's a bad ad. It needs to be optimized. Some of those things that we look at, you've kind of mentioned already a little bit, where we're talking about understanding your audience and their needs and filling that need. So when we're looking at optimizing an ad, is the ad speaking to that person's need strong enough that they go, yep, that's my problem right there. I need that. Click that ad. Once they click that ad, they go to your website or wherever you take them, social page, Messenger, Instagram messaging, whatever it is. If they don't like what's said there, then they're not going to really reach out and contact you. They'll back out and then they'll go click somebody else's ad and try again. So we got to optimize the landing pages or the offer, the funnel page, whatever it is, has to be optimized in a way that people read through that page and say, okay, I have this problem and I trust this person to take care of that problem. And if you're not solving that, or at least talking about the problem that you're solving and the solution to that problem, that kind of thing, then again, it's a bad landing page. They're not going to convert. They're not going to call because you didn't really answer their question or show their problem. In fact, I'm working with a gal right now who does life coaching, and she's built out this funnel page for a free download on if you feel like your marriage is kind of struggling and it's just not right, then download this roadmap. And she talks about how to get this marriage back on track and make it exciting and fun. And, and she calls it start a new marriage with same spouse. kind of right? Like, okay, this marriage sucks. Let's start a new marriage. I'm going to keep you as my spouse because I still love you. But what's the roadmap that we can follow? So it's kind of an ingenious idea. But the landing page lacked a little bit of that. I don't know. It was just
that hook
that hook just wasn't right. It just wasn't the right thing. So we worked on that, came up with some better hooks, headlines, things that really they look at that and go, yes, I want that. So instead of is your marriage struggling? That seems like a bit of a hook, but it's like, yeah, okay. But the next line should be something like enjoy your marriage again. Find love in your relationship again. Learn to enjoy the time with your spouse again. Have the kids, have your children looking up to you and feeling satisfied in your family life. And this is, these are things that people look and say, yes, that's what I want. Give me this, give me that roadmap. But those kinds of solutions, those kinds of outcomes weren't on the page. So a lot of times your ad, yes, this is the problem, but the landing page needs to talk about the outcomes. So when you go to a carpet cleaning, for example, clean carpets, stain resistant, just all those things. Have clean, stain resistant carpets so you don't have to worry about it getting so messy so quickly later. And we're the only ones that do it. And we're better than everybody else. And this is why, that kind of stuff. So optimizing for conversions, both on your ads, your landing pages, copy, newsletters. Even newsletters can be optimized. Obviously, give great value, just like you talked about. And then maybe at the bottom, like some little invite for them to come to a free webinar, seminar, whatever it is that you do. And again, preaching to the choir here, but you get the idea. Like optimize the newsletter, copy, landing pages, ads, everything needs to be optimized. And split test.
So I guess we could talk about split test, because that was my next little bit, is when something is working, you're like, well, I don't want to break it, but what do I need to do to make sure that it gets even better? Or if something's not quite working, but you're like, well, it has potential, what does that tweak need to be? So for you like to split test. Let's hear what that might look like in a concrete example.
So they call it split testing, A/B testing. What we're talking about there is, let's take the same landing page that they go to and just change one piece of it. Let's change the headline, call to action, whatever you call it, or the hook, from this to this. Run the same ads to it. So we have half the ads going here and half the ads going there. See which one results in more people calling. Now, what's interesting about that is it could be as simple as a button color going from green to red or blue or whatever, which surprisingly, psychologists sometimes in the advertising field say, don't use a red button because red means stop. But there was a company that was, and this was just a case study I was looking at, but they went from like a blue button to a red button. And when they went to the red button, their engagement or conversion shot up like 30%, even though you're not supposed to use red. But you have to test these things. Not everybody's right. And it could just be that audience likes red. I don't know what the thing is. You never know. But you don't want to change a lot of things. You just want to change one thing, change the button, change the headline, see how it does. And you're doing the same thing with your ad. So you're doing this ad, change things up a little bit. Which ad's getting more clicks? Okay, this ad's getting the most clicks. Okay, this page, change that up, change that up, change it up. Okay, now we have a page that is winning against all these other pages with the most conversions. Now you have the best ad with the best page. Explosion in conversions.
Explosion in conversions. And it comes down to taking those little tiny shifts, because making micro shifts can create macro gains. I heard that in health and wellness. I've heard that in business. But one of the things that I have noticed is sometimes people will be like, well, it's not converting, I'm just going to throw the whole thing away. You're like, wait a second, you did all that work, now you're going to restart all of it. You don't necessarily have everything going poorly. You want to find what is one thing you can do to make it just a little bit more clear, a little better. And I tend to lean on being clear rather than on cutesy or playful, because in marketing, if they don't know what you do, you don't know why you do it, then it's a message that falls on deaf ears. So this last section, the W in the GROW framework, let's go there for a minute.
So the W stands for win more clients. So if you're following these steps, gaining visibility, re-engage your audience, optimizing for conversions, now they're calling you. This is the sales part of it, where you need to win the client. And as a marketer, one of the things that I encourage people to do is get what's called a call tracking number. These call tracking numbers will allow us to change the phone number on a website depending on how someone arrived there at that website. So if they arrived at the website through like a social media post, they'll see a phone number that when you call that number, we know that it came from a social media ad. That's what made that call happen. Organic, PPC, billboards, you can get these call tracking numbers for any. The billboard one doesn't necessarily convert online, but they have what's called dynamic number insertion, which is it will actually change on the website depending on where they click from. The other thing that I love about that is the calls are recorded, so you can go back and listen to those calls. And I've had clients where we've driven all this traffic and they've said, well, we're just not getting any appointments. We're not getting any calls. This marketing isn't working, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'll go back and I'll listen to these calls, and they're either not answering and they're just going to a voicemail. Maybe they're calling back, maybe they're not. But trust me, if it's a new person trying to get in touch with you for whatever it is that you're offering, plumber, for example, carpet cleaner, especially if it's some kind of emergency in their mind and you don't answer, that's the end of that. They're on to the next person, right? That's one thing I noticed. Number two, I've noticed that they will sometimes talk them out of it. They call in, hey, I need a new water heater, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, yeah, we can definitely do that. If you consider this, well, what about that? Well, what if we got you a water heater? You already have a water heater? Okay, well, our water heaters are better, and but almost the same price. And then by the end of the call, the guy on the other end of the phone said, well, okay, let me think about it. I'll get back to you. But at the very beginning of the call, it was like, yeah, come fix it. So winning customers is not just about the marketing. It's about after the marketing happens, now you've got their attention. How do you close the deals? How do you get them on board? And a lot of times you say too much on the call. It's not that you're not saying enough. So understanding sales and negotiation and all those kind of things, hugely important when it comes to any kind of market. Like you have B&B stuff, you could easily talk them out of the B&B, right?
Yeah.
Stay. They call up, yeah, they're interested, and oh well, yeah, it's kind of maybe the walls aren't that great. They're kind of, right? I mean, depends on your attitude.
If you overshare about features, and they're like, I just want to have a night's rest. Just tell me what I need to do to get in the door. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like, especially young marketers, young business owners, they'll talk themselves out of more sales than they will into a sale.
Yep.
I had a great example this last week. My friend Eric, he was talking about how you can create scripts, and it's really important to get so comfortable with what you're saying online. You can have someone that's brand new come in and say, hey, here's the 3 points that you need to make sure that you collect whenever somebody calls in. He gave an example, like, make sure you get their information, because otherwise you don't know how to call them back. And if you have the right system, they can do that for you. But figure out, well, how can I serve you? What can I help with? And actually listen. And then after you figure out what they want, you don't need to necessarily always try and upsell them things. Like, well, let's get that. He basically said this. It was, do you have all the information you need to get started? Or do you have more questions? And I was like, that's a great question. Because if they have all the information and they just want to buy, just take their credit card information, just close the sale. You don't need to try and convince them anymore, because sales is not about convincing. It's literally just, how do I serve? And if they just want to buy the product, just let them buy the product. Right.
Yep.
So
That's absolutely huge. See it over and over and over again. So you got to master that sales. You have to master one of the things that I learned in sales was stop talking. Right. And I've used this a few times. One that stands out in my mind has nothing to do with selling a product, but it's a great story. We were heading off to Florida to a convention out in Florida. On this side of the hall was one that was going through Atlanta, which I was booked on. On the other side of the hall was the same airline leaving 30 minutes later, going directly to the city I was flying into. So I go up to the person who's on the counter, and I said, I don't have any checked baggage. But I'm going to, I think it was Miami, but I'm going to Miami. The one across the hall is going to Miami as well, but they're not stopping. This one's going through Atlanta with like a 2-hour layover. Is there any chance you could just put me on this one over here? And the service person actually said, well, we're not really supposed to do that. And I just went,
just waited for her.
And she's like, but I'll see what I can do. And then she booked me on that flight. So I just took my bag over there and waited 30 minutes, and I had a direct flight. So it's like, a lot of times, just stop talking. They, like you said, do you have all your questions answered? Great. How would you like to pay for that?
I love it. And that's asking for the order. I think some people aren't confident enough in themselves to say, well, are you ready to get started now? Or do you need more questions? Or do you have more questions? Yeah. If they're ready to get started, just zip and accept it. And man, I guess marketing, if you do all this work to have the traffic, but you can't close the sale, it's usually not a marketing issue. almost never is a marketing issue. It is a message issue. And if you aren't able to help them see how their story connects to you, helping them get that bridge to where they want to go, then they'll go with somebody else that can clearly articulate, here's the challenge you're experiencing. Here's the bridge that we can help you get through that challenge. So for you, what is one other sales tip for new business owners, maybe those people that haven't gone through a ton of sales training, but one tip that you could give them that you're like, hey, this is how you're going to kind of get to that next level to finish your loop, if you will, to actually close the sale.
Yeah. So I remember when I was working in America Online back in like the 90s, and I'm totally dating myself at this point, but America Online was this startup way to connect to the internet. They had phone numbers all over the country. They're one of the biggest. I've got a little disc back there somewhere with the little America Online thing. It was, you put in the computer, get your free month or whatever. And I went into this thinking, I went to work for this company where my job was to get on the phone. People would call in to cancel their account, and I would try to keep them on for another month so they could reconsider and give them. And I thought, man, I'm going to blow this out of the water. I'm so good at sales. I owned a bike shop at the time, and little sporting goods store and things. And I thought I was just awesome sales guy. And they wanted about a 30% retention rate of people that called in, retaining about 30%. So I went and I started this job, went through training, got on the phones, and it was so bad. I think I was closing or keeping like 5% of the people, maybe 10 on a good day. And I thought, what is going on? And I went to my mentor, or not my mentor, but my manager of the team. I said, would you record my calls for me so I can listen to them? And he said, sure, absolutely. Back then it was cassette tapes. Again, I'm dating myself.
Awesome.
Now he puts in this cassette tape, close it, gives it to me. I go home over the weekend. I'm listening to these calls, and I'm just thinking, I would not buy anything from me. And you touched on it already. It was listen to them. They'll tell you what they need to close the sale. They'll tell you. Especially if they've called you, they'll tell you, this is what I'm looking for. Great, I can do that. How'd you like to pay for that? So I listened to the calls and I thought, okay, I'm really not listening. If they say this, first of all, I've got to listen to what they're saying. Second of all, I've got to be able to solve their problem. And this is where I came up with this 3-prong philosophy for closing sales. They have to like you as a person, or they're not going to want to do business with you. They have to like your business. They have to, is it a good business? Does it seem above board? Is there anything sketchy about it? That kind of thing. And then they have to like the solution that you're offering to their problem. If they like those 3 things, they're going to buy from you. They like you. They like the solution to the problem. They like your company. Everything lines up. They're happy. They're going to buy. So I got to get them to like me on the call. I've got to get them to like America Online, and I've got to get them to like the solution to the problem. So I went back after listening to these and writing down some notes and just staying up one night and just kind of hit me, right? And I go back and I went from like a 10% to a 90% retention rate. And just everybody was saying, yeah, that sounds great. Let's do that. So when that happens, we were paid for each person that we were able to retain. We were given like 1 month's worth of, which was $20 at the time. So, if I save 100 people, that's a $2,000 check, like, during that month, whatever, 2 weeks. So it was good money in there to do that. But that also meant that there were people who would try to game the system. They would say that they retained them when they didn't. They would tell them they were going to cancel their account and then didn't. So as soon as I went from 10 to 90, they started listening to my calls, all these monitors and coaches and things. And what they found was, wow, this guy just knows how to close the deal. So, and all it was that the secret was just listening to what they needed. And a call would go something like this, just to give you an idea. Hi, thanks for America Online. My name's Rob. Yeah, I'd like to cancel my account. Cool. I can totally take care of that for you. It's going to take me a minute to do that. While I'm doing that, where are you from? Oh, I live out here. Oh, really? What do you do there? Oh, I love fishing and kayaking. Oh, that is so cool. How long have you been doing that? Oh, I've been doing that for, okay, that is really neat. Did you know that on America Online, we have a keyword fishing, another keyword kayak? They just put those things. It gives you all the information about the best fishing spots, the best sporting goods store, how to kayak, different kayak. No, I didn't know they had that. Dude, you should check it out. I'll give you a free month. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, great. Free month. Thanks. See ya. And they'd be like, yeah, you're so awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. Because I just listened to them and they told me what they do and what they like and what they love. And I gave them some stuff that they'd be interested in, a free month to go check it out. And they were just happy as can be.
That's awesome. So, and you can do that in any business if you think about it. You listen carefully to what the customer is actually saying. Yeah. And this is called mirroring, basically. They brought up they like fishing. And you're like, well, would you like to know more about fishing? Is there a way that you can tie that into what your offer is? Are there ways that what they're looking for as far as benefits are already highlighted in your product? Then don't talk about the other things. You talk about the things that meet their needs, their drive, their excitement, their passions. I think
one more little thought on that. Like the littlest things. Let's say you're selling cars, and the guy talks about how he likes to eat at McDonald's, right? So he can see himself going through the McDonald's drive-through all the time. Most car salespeople wouldn't be thinking about this, but this one line could make the sale. Yeah, can you imagine taking this car through the drive-through?
Then you put them in the car, and they're like, oh man, that lady at McDonald's, she's not going to be able to look past me. That's awesome.
That's right. Like, and now they see themselves doing that, and they're like, yeah, I like McDonald's. I like this car now. The smallest little detail that you think may not even matter when it comes to a car could be the thing that sells the car. So yeah.
One of my favorite words in sales is imagine. Imagine yourself actually doing this in 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, and it's future pacing, but basically letting them see themselves use your product and get great results because they were doing it for so long. So I think that word imagine, if you fit that in at the end of this process, imagine that you were able to get what you wanted out of this. What would that do for you? What would you have to do for the next year or 2 years with this product to make it a 100% worthwhile transaction? And letting them tell you what that looks like and say, well, if that's what your goal is, let's make sure that you have these check-ins or you do all these different things to make sure you get the max amount out of your product, the max value. And that comes with listening. So I love that tip. That was excellent, Rob. Even extra value than just the grow. You're like, oh, we're going to go into the sales too to win that sale. So good. How do people find you online so we can make sure that they're going to connect with you?
So the easiest way is just marketingai.com. That's my website. It's easy to remember, for the most part. And then obviously we have Facebook, and I'll send you some links and things if you want to, put it in there. But if they go to marketingai.com, they'll see the business and got my social media links and things in there. So, and if you want to email me, it's just rob@marketingai.com. So
pretty easy to remember. I love it. So good. We'll get that contact info in there. But once again, Rob, thank you so much over delivering on the value. And if you guys want to get a little bit wider idea of how to apply this in your business, go get his book. We'll make sure to get that link in there as well. So once again, I appreciate you. And check out his podcast. It's fantastic. I was on it this last week. So good. Yep. And it's great to collaborate with you, my friend. Appreciate you.
Yeah, that was a great podcast. And sorry it took me a minute to get up there, but that is now. It's up. It's live. You have the link. I'd love for you to share out with your audience and just some really good stuff. And man, it's been great being a guest here. I love the input, the things you've talked about. Thank you for being on mine. It's just been a pleasure.
Appreciate it. Well, thanks so much, Rob. Well, with that, guys, if you want to have more value, keep leveling up your life, hit that like and subscribe button. With that, God bless.